Okay, and thank you again, sir. Mhm. Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us out of New York City, one who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than brother Yusuf Bey. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Yes, sir. This is an extreme honor for myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. Well, my first question that we have for you, sir, is what was it like growing up in the nation, sir?
Man, it was the best experience anybody could ever have growing up in the Nation of Islam. You know, you yourself, you know how that feeling is. It's words that cannot describe it. The unity with the brothers, the manhood, the discipline, the strength, the pride that you get as coming up in the nation is nothing unlike it. I grew up, was raised by powerful brothers. It's the best thing ever for anybody to be in far as the structure. I loved it.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And who are your parents, sir?
Well, my father, his name was Charles C52X.
Mm,
He was a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the First Resurrection.
mm, mm.
Um, he joined the nation in, he told me 1958 as a junior for a while. And my mother, her name is Ivy. She never became a registered member of the nation, but she was very supportive and, you know, attended the mosque frequently. But my father was a part of the First Resurrection, and he raised me, you know, in the nation.
Excellent. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Brother Atta sends a greeting. Alaikum salam, sir. And my sister Miriam sends a greeting. Alaikum salam, family. Boom. Assalamu alaikum, family. Okay. My next question for you, sir, is you sent me some amazing pictures of you, you know, in New York City. What was it like in the climate of growing up in New York?
It was in the 80s, you know, it was very conscious. You know, you had the 5%ers, the Ansar Law community, Hebrew Israelites, the Nation of Islam. So it was very conscious during them times. So when you walked outside, you're gonna walk into information and knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I was heavily influenced by also the 5% Nation in New York City and Brooklyn, New York. I come from an area in Brooklyn called East New York, which was heavily populated with the 5%ers. So even though I was raised in the Nation of Islam, I was attracted to how the way they knew the lessons by heart. So I began to memorize the lessons by heart, the Supreme Wisdom, which they call the 120. I began to memorize the lessons by heart. And it was a brother on my block named Shakim Allah, a Spanish brother who was a 5%er that I used to frequently be with. But, you know, he was kind of wild, you know, like to do a little wild stuff. So I was kind of attracted to his wildness, but I was attracted that he knew the information, like the knowledge and knew the lessons. So, you know, I studied the lessons and memorized the lessons as well in those days. And what we call the Supreme Wisdom, what they call the 120. And, you know, that was the energy that was around during them times. This was in the early 80s, which I was very young, you know, very young at the time.
Okay, great. Yes, sir. And what was it like for you meeting the Most High Minister Farrakhan?
Well, I'm gonna tell you the story. The first time I saw the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan was in Chicago. It was not. I didn't it wasn't intimate, but I saw him for the first time, and it was like you never saw nobody like that ever in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like the experience seeing him is like you can't describe the words because he just don't seem like nobody else on the planet. The energy that he gives off. But the second time I got to meet him intimately is a brother that I grew up with in New York, brother named Brother Kevin Muhammad. Not Brother Minister Hafiz, but Brother Kevin Muhammad. And he always knew when a minister was coming to town. Okay. Now, mind you, it was no cell phones back then or nothing. So I would come from somewhere And I'll check my answer machine, and he'll be in my answer machine. Oh, the leader is here. Meet me at Broadway, East New York, because me and him lived in the same area but different sides. So he'll tell my mother, get suited and booted, brother. So I'll go meet Brother Kevin. And Brother Kevin, since we was young, always had a connection. He always knew the minister was in town. He was like the connect to the minister, even though we was young. And that's when the minister used to come to uptown. He used to stay with a brother named Abdullah and stuff like that. And that was the first time I got to see the minister intimately and, got to shake his hand. This probably was like in like 1990, 91. The early times, yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, let's talk about your drilling. You said you were, one of the original members of the drill team of New York. How was that?
Yeah, we was the nicest, brother. I'm letting you know that now. We was the nicest. I learned how to drill from a brother named Brother Andrew Malik. He was our GFY instructor. I love that brother to death. As I got older, I realized the sacrifice he put into us. You don't really realize when you're a child, but this brother was married with children, but every Saturday he would be with us. Fridays we were spending there at the mosque with each other. He put in so much time and dedication to us. We would drill, we would box, push-ups, study the lessons. If we fast together. So that brother Andrew Malik, man, love the brother to death, man. But he taught us how to drill, and we was no joke, brother. He was no joke with it. I think I still got some skills in drilling.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they don't go away.
Yes, sir. Okay, well you said Brooklyn, in New York. There's a lot going on. Has there ever been a time when you were faced with fear? And if so, how did you overcome that fear?
Nah, brother. When you raised in the nation Islam, you're not afraid of nothing. And that could be kind of like, that could be sometimes because I was never afraid of nothing, because from being in the nation, as we say Allahu Akbar, and whatever go down, go down. So I would go into like the most dangerous projects. I would go to the most dangerous areas, not being unfearful, because I was a Muslim. I'm a Muslim, a student of, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We don't have no fear. So I was never fearful. When I was younger, I used to work at the Final Court bookstore. This was in Brooklyn on Fulton Street and Kingston and Troop, with brother Lester and brother Tyrone. And that's why I learned entrepreneurship, how to do for myself. Brother Tyrone taught me to get the bean pie, and I would stand in front of the store and I would sell the bean pies and oils and incense, and and then the next year I learned how to do it on my own. I was working for him, and then I got my own bean pies and stuff and began to be an entrepreneur. So that was one of my first steps, also learning how to be an entrepreneur by working with brothers in the nation, working in a bookstore. And by me working in a bookstore with the tapes and the VH1s, a lot of prominent people came to that store to receive tapes and different things. And in that time, our minister was Khalid. Khalid Muhammad was the minister.
Yes, sir. What was it like? What was it like being under him?
Man, brother, it was standing room only when he was the minister there. When you came to the mosque, it was no seats. You was lined up against the wall. The seats had to be only for visitors. It started with brothers sitting down, but then after a while, all the brothers got to stand against the wall because there's none but visitors. Yeah, and them days when the brothers was, got the waves and shining faces and, standing on posts and the power and the strength. That feeling, man, in them days, you can't, it was one of the best feelings. So under Khalid Muhammad, the mosque was packed. It was packed with Brother Khalid Muhammad. And then later on, Minister Conrad came. Another powerful.
What was it like being under Mr. Conrad?
Man, Conrad was powerful. He was connected to a lot of the hip hop artists. So, they would always come to the mosque. We had events, they would come. It was one time we got to drill at the Apollo with Public Enemy.
Mm.
I don't know if the brothers remember that. They came, I forgot what year it was. It was in the early 90s. They was at the Apollo and we went to the green room and everything. And yeah, that was powerful. But yeah, it was a connection with Mr. Conrad. He had a connection with a lot of the artists. Plus Minister Arthur Muhammad, you know, he was a strong brother. He made sure when I saluted the right way. You know, I'm gonna tell you something. I didn't like to wear bow ties.
Mm.
So I still always want to wear straight necks. And I don't know if Minister Arthur remember, but he used to make me do 100 push-ups for that. I stopped wearing that tie. You know, I try to be rebellious. I try to be rebellious a couple of times, but them push-ups, he see me, you don't got, where the bow tie at? 100 push-ups, right there. I said, let me stop, you know, I got to put on this bow tie. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. But what about the Million Man March? What was it like leading up to that, and how did it personally impact you?
I actually didn't get to go to the Million Man March. Yeah, I actually didn't get to go to the Million Man March, but I was around for it leading up when the minister was having he came to New York to talk about it before it actually happened. I was there.
Okay.
I was at the Jacob Javits Center. I'm actually on the video. When you look at the Jacob Javits videotape.
Okay.
I'm on a video. So I didn't get to make it to the Million Man March, but I was definitely supportive of the Million Man March.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, we're going to come to you joining the Moore Science Church of Morris. Is it the church Moore Science Temple? We're gonna go right into that. But I want to thank everybody who likes, shares, and subscribes. My sister Naima sends the greetings to the People's Podcast. We have a quick 60-second commercial break, and then we want to hear about how did you gain the title of Grand Sheik. We definitely want to hear about that. Grand Sheik. We want to hear about that and your for everyone who likes to share, for everyone who would like to be a sponsor or donor of the People's Podcast, please cash app. Thank you very much for People's Podcast. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. If you need that, please reach out to him. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Please go get both of those. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country and right here in the studio in Atlanta, Georgia. We love our tiny dancers. Rock Communications. If you are writing a book and you need copy editing, project management, content development, media relations, or consulting, please reach out to Rock Communications. Once again, thank you very much. Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad out of the Southwest region, conflict mediation and squashing the beef. He does a phenomenal job. Also his wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad, children of the Most High, giving birth to a God in the science of child rearing. We're coming right back to our brother Sheik Yusuf Bey. Fashion Gods out of St. Louis, Missouri, urban streetwear. He can ship clothes to you anywhere in the country. 314-329-60009. Also, Power Campus Online Learning. Do you want to improve your homeschooling experience? We're here to help. 770-847-0786. Sister Sherry Muhammad, AJAG Minds online. It teaches STEM virtually to young kings and queens all across the country. AJAGminds.com. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Leg right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 disinfecting cleaning services out of Chicago. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com. And last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse. Thank you all very much. And right back to our brother. Okay, boom. Yes, sir. Okay, well, the name, the title, Grand Sheik. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correct. Is it Sheik or Sheik?
Yeah, either or.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, yes, sir. Well, let's go with Grand Sheik. What does that mean, and how did it come about?
All right. So, in the early 90s, well, let me start here. My grandfather's younger brother, he was a Moor. So, when I would come around, he would tell me about the Moors, but you know, he would tell me lessons, but it wasn't in the supreme wisdom. So I used to be like, that I don't think that's true in my mind, because it's not in the supreme wisdom. So what are you getting this from? So I would hear him, but I would really never accept what he's saying, because it's like I didn't read that from the messenger, you know?
Yes, sir.
So when I studied the lessons, I would see more sometimes. And I was the type of young man that I thought I knew everything. You know the supreme wisdom. I still want to debate everybody. So, you know, there's a train station in New Brooklyn called Hoyt Skimhorn. So it was a brother there with a fez on. So I said, I said, I'm about to, we call it bombing him. I said, I'm about to drop it on him. So I go to him with the supreme wisdom and I spark him. He can't respond back to me. So I was like, in my mind, this more stuff is garbage. I'm not, you know, it can't mess with the supreme wisdom. Like, you know, so I was turned off from it. Like, so then I go to 42nd Street, because back then people go to 42nd Street to go to the movies and take pictures and stuff. So I see a bunch of Moors across the street with fezzes on. So I say, I'm gonna do the same thing again. You know, I'm gonna go over there and you know, drop it on them. So I go over there, I see them, I say, you know, peace. They like peace. I'm like, I'm the supreme being. I'm God of the universe, Asiatic black man. And the brother looked at me. He started smiling. He was like, you black? I said, yeah, I'm the original man. He said, what color is your skin? I said, brown. He said, so how are you black? I'm like, from the essence of which I come from. He said, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how are you black as far as your skin tone. So then he showed me, they have what they call the 101s. He showed it to me, which is like the lessons of Noah Drew Ali.
Yes, sir.
And it's very similar to Supreme Wisdom. So when I looked at it, I said, man, you know, this is very similar to the lessons. So then the brother's name was Muhammad Bey. He said, you know, you want to know more, come back. So I will come back up there. He said he's going to take me to what they called a school at the time. So I would come back, and when I used to go, the brother had a fez on with a long tassel, like very longer than usual. But every time I come up there, he would never take me. And every time I went, he had this tassel shorter. He kept on telling me to come back the next week. I'll come back. I'll be sitting there with him all day. He's not taking me. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, what is he doing? Like, he's not taking me. Then finally, I come up there. The tassel's cut very short. And then he takes me to the school. It was called the Great Seal of Moorish Affairs. It was in Queens, New York. So when I go on the train with him, the E-train, I'm excited. We go to Queens, and you know what the school was? A broken down yellow school bus. I was thinking I was going to go to this elaborate school, and it was a school bus. But on that school bus, I learned so much information. Far as a lot of the brothers that was in the Great Seal was either 5%ers or was a part of the Nation of Islam at one time. You know, so at that time, you know, learning more science, it was like you didn't have the internet. So I actually had to go all over New York City learning from different brothers, you know? And I went there for a little while. That brother that took me, he passed away. And one thing he did too was crazy. I want to kind of go back a little bit. One day we was together, and he knocked somebody out in front of me, in front of the police. And he started doing these signs to the police, and the police didn't arrest him. And he said, "You see, I'm a Moor. They can't arrest me." This, that. Like, so, you know, this type of stuff as a young man, it catches your mind. You like, wow, like they didn't do nothing to him. You know, so I really want to know what this is. You know, so, you know, moving back forward, you know, I end up meeting a brother named Messiah, Ali Bey, brother Nakeem Allah Bey. It was these brothers around my way called the Begar Cipher, Ali and them. These was different brothers that I learned more science from. And then it was an elder I grew up under named Ken Bey. And he told me, well, before that, you were part of the Clock of Destiny, because it was another order I was a part of called the Clock of Destiny of the Great Seal under Nakeem Bey, where, you know, you learn the lessons. To go back, this was started by a man named Charles Mosley Bey in Cleveland, Ohio, in 1947. Now, he wrote a book called the Clock of Destiny 1 and 2. In the book, he has a story about Yaqub in that book. So, you know, for me being from the nation and I see Yakub in a book, it kind of like you see the correlation. You like, you know, this is interesting because, you know, I grew up with the Yakub story, but their Yakub story was a little bit different. So I started seeing similarities in seeing Bey's teachings and the messenger's teachings. I wanted to pursue to learn it more. So, learning under these brothers, but this brother Ken Bey, he told me about a temple in Baltimore. And I attended the temple in Baltimore. But before that, I was a part of a Muslim temple in Brooklyn called Temple 34, you know, but I ended up becoming a part of a temple in Baltimore, Maryland, under a brother named Richardson Dingle L. He was a grand sheik that was under Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And I learned from one of his students who was named Bratton Bey. And I became a grand sheik divine minister and adept under him through a brother named Sheik Denton Bey. And you know, when you by your works and deeds, you know, you go through what they call an adept chamber, which is like a rights to a rights to passage, and you get bestowed the grand sheik or sheik title on you. So yeah, so that's the first time I came through the chamber. Then I actually went through another chamber on the Grand Sheik Prater L, also in Baltimore, Maryland, and went through that chamber and received also my Sheikism degrees from under the More Sensible America. So, you know, a couple of years ago, I had a unity meeting. I seen the picture of Minister Henry Muhammad, the Moors, it was Hebrew Israelites there, you know, to bring us all together to show that we all have one common cause of to really, you know, uplift our people. You know, the little differences is very small when you look at the purpose of these different groups. It's all about uplifting our people at the end of the day.
Yes, sir. So I have a question for you. What advice would you give to members of different schools of thoughts on how we can unite?
It's nothing wrong with having differences. It's nothing wrong with discussing those differences. But at the end of the day, you have to have one common plan. You have to be like with me, I'm able to, you know, you have to work on the degree that person is on. If a brother's on a certain degree, you don't down what he's doing. You try to show the correlation between what you're dealing with and what they're dealing with and show that there's more similarities and differences. And once you show that, you're able to you know, bring the people together. As I'm able to, you know, unite so many different brothers and sisters together because I show the similarities more than the differences. There's way more similarities than differences.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And you being in Brooklyn, I'm sure you're a fan of music. What is your favorite album of all time?
You know, I gotta go with Biggie.
Okay. You know, ready to Die, or are you going to Life After Death?
Ready to Die. And you know, I got to show my man Jay-Z. You know, those you know, when I was younger, we would see Biggie stores back in the days. You know, they used to call him Fat Chris. He'll be, you know, in Brooklyn, and you know, I had a little connection with Jay a little bit, with, you know, Marcy, but guys I grew up over there with. So, you know, to see them brothers do what they did is definitely a great thing.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Brooklyn. As some I've interviewed some people when they say the man, what did the captain, Brother Salim, the first officer in Brooklyn, he called it the People's Republic of Brooklyn. He makes it a distinction for that because y'all have Brooklyn pride. My sister Miriam says, great question. Yeah, and he said, thank you for this interview, sir. And thank you for watching. Thank everybody who watches. What do you want your legacy to be?
You know, I definitely want to, it's about definitely your character and the things you accomplish in life. What we have to understand in life is that, you know, the more Science Temple of America, the Nation of Islam is here forever. It's never going to go nowhere. So sometimes people have to know how to establish their own legacy as well. Like sometimes people neglect their own personal achievements and dwell on an organization completely when the organization is not going nowhere. You have to be able to balance the two. So you have to make sure that, sometimes we dedicate ourselves, but then our children are not, raised Islamic. They're not keeping the principles that we was raised because we neglected that and we focus on other things and other, So you have to be balanced. So, my legacy, I want to make sure my kids is raised, Islamic and lead to something here tangible for them,
Beautiful.
for progress. And I want to definitely give honors to you. I watched your show.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, sir.
It brings back so many good memories. You had Brother Ali on your show, his brother. Those brothers right there, I love those brothers. You know what I'm saying? Back when I was young, I considered them like they was like the cool brothers. You know how you got some brothers that's just cool.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They was like, oh yeah, they was like, they was cool. They was real relatable. And we had Brother Rudy.
Yes,
man,
sir.
His drilling is no joke.
Yes, sir.
Brother Rudy, man. So like, those brothers are like, I love those brothers to this very day. They had a very big impact on my life.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, so many people are showing you love on Facebook, and I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Thank everyone for things like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. Well, may Allah continue to bless you and your family, sir. Once again, this has been an honor. Thank you for reaching out. This when you reached out, I was like, man, let's make it happen. And I'm all about unity. And thank everybody for watching. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.